Hi, everybody. Um, I'm sorry I'm a little bit late starting this, but I also did a live on Instagram, and I'm hoping that those of you, the thousands of folks that follow me on all of the other pages, got the word that this is the place to come and see my live videos. Um, Anyway, today is always a melancholy day for me, remembering my friend Jim and how much he meant to me and how much he meant to the world. And but uh, the real tragedy would have been had Jim not ever been here, because his genius, his warmth, his loving nature, his laughter, and his wanting to be the best, and to engage the whole world in a way that puppets had never engaged the world before, the way that he entertained. If that had never been here, that would have been the real tragedy. But Jim, leaving us at 53 years old, I mean, my gosh, think about what he did. Think about what he did. Um, uh, I I'd like to share with you what he meant to me. Um, I was a huge fan of Jim's, and the and I watched him on watch Rolf, on the Jimmy Dean show, uh, and was just a huge fan. And so when I got asked to try out for the Muppet Show comic strip, I was just a giant fan. And then so I tried out, and Bill Yates liked my work. He asked for more of it. He sent it over to Henson. Michael Frith, who my dear mentor, teacher, Michael Frith. Uh, oh my gosh. I mean, just the greatest. What a genius. Anyway, Michael thought they were pretty good, and they invited me over to 117 East 69th. And uh, and so I started getting to know a little bit about the Muppets and stuff, but there was no commitment or anything. And so for 1 year, I wrote and drew the strip in my spare time pretty much every single night. I was working for Weekly Reader during the day, and and then at night I would work on the comic, and I just kept mailing it in and mailing it in. Well, I did that for a whole year, and after a year, the phone rang, and it was Jerry Jewell, the head writer of the Muppets, and I had never spoken to Jerry or anything. I was incredibly honored to talk to him, and he informed me that I had the job and that I had the job for like a month. Michael, Jane Leventhal, all the people at Henson Associates just hadn't told me, and that started it all. So whenever I'm asked what was my favorite Muppet project that I did with Jim, I always have to say it was the Muppet Show comic strip. Now, a lot of you don't even know what a comic strip is or what a newspaper is or any of that anymore. But Jim wanted to have a comic strip of the Muppet Show, and he had turned down, I guess, 200 people before they took a shot with me. I wrote it, I drew it. It was very important to Jim that, you see, he had been planning for quite some time that the Muppet Show was going to come to an end on television. There were still going to be the movies and stuff, probably, but he wanted to move on to other things. And he wanted the Muppet Show to be in front of everyone. all the time. And so he had looked for somebody to do a comic, because back in those days, a newspaper comic strip was a big, big deal. And we had millions and millions and millions of readers. It turned out to be the most successful launch of a comic strip in the history of comics. And by the way, it was the only comic strip that when you read the joke here in America, you read the exact same joke in every single country in the world, translated into their language on the very same day. And this was something that Jim had to really push for, because, King Features didn't want to do that. They were the biggest in the business. They still are. And they had Mickey Mouse and all that stuff. And so they told Jim, you can't do that. And Jim just kind of said, oh, I think we can. And then he said, well, I've got the Concorde is waiting for me. I have to go to London to make a movie. And Guy, Michael, you talk to these fine gentlemen, and I'm sure you'll work it out. And Jim just walked off. And, in King Features, they're all standing there like $1 billion just walked out the door. Doesn't he understand? Well, Jim understood. He understood that you could do anything. Um, uh, and let's try that. Anything. Let's try it. And so that's my favorite thing that I ever got to do with Jim, because that was the main thing that I did with Jim. I mean, I was given the opportunity to write and draw all of his characters every single day for the whole world. And as time went on, I got better and better and better at it. It was a full-time job, believe me. It was an absolute full-time job to write and draw the strip. I mean, it was just a huge thing. And by the way, Jim approved every single strip. The approval process was about the hardest part about doing the comic. I had Michael K. Frith, the genius, Michael K. Frith. Yes, Brian, it really was an honor, and it was something that I took very, very, very much to heart. But I had Michael, teaching me how to draw the characters. Jerry Jewell was very happy with the way that I was writing it. But we had an audience of millions and millions of people worldwide every single day, and that was my main thing. But as I got better and better and better at it, I also had a clause in my contract that said I would do licensing. And the very first licensing that we did, oh, by the way, here, I brought a few things out, and I'm going to show you some artifacts here. This is the original painting, the cover, for the Muppets brochure from King Features. And you see that little hole there. See it? So it's got Kermit and Piggy on the stage. And this was sent out. It was a gorgeous brochure. I mean, it's like 24 pages of full color. And this was, so this was like the biggest deal. And it paid off for King Features. We were in 660 newspapers on day one. So you see that blank spot there. Into that blank spot, we dropped the artwork for the comic. And I've pulled out the original Sunday page of the very first Muppets comic strip. Gosh, it looks so old, doesn't it? And the comic, the gag, is that Kermit has returned from New York. He said, I guess I'm back from New York. I guess we're going to do a comic strip after all. And of course, Fozzie is like, ah, yes, love it. And then Piggy says, welcome home, mon cher. He says, lay off, Piggy. I'm exhausted. business lunches with big comic strip moguls, the endless contract negotiations, the speeches, the whirlwind pace. I'm bushed. And of course, Piggy's just like looking at herself in the mirror. And she says, ahem. Did you bring moi a present? We had a lot of fun with the comic right at the beginning with the idea that we were doing a comic strip. Um, uh, that was Jim's thing. That was the Muppets thing. And it was instilled in me right away that we were going to parody and have fun with whatever medium we were in. Like, like just like he did with television and movies and videos and all of that kind of stuff. Everything that he did, we would have the Muppets be conscious of the fact that they were now doing this. I mean, it went so far as to have the humor of it really came from like, you know, Kermit like banging into the side of a panel as he was walking, not being used to being in two dimensions. Um, Animal eating the strip that day and there not being one, just a big head of him eating. The comic strip being printed upside down. Um, Word balloons getting in the way and and stacking up all over the place because that wasn't anything that was on television. It was something that we all had to get used to. That was the fun stuff. And the idea that and King Features actually hated that. They basically wanted Blondie and Dagwood. They wanted Miss Piggy and Kermit. Uh, to basically just be, a comic strip couple. And so that was always our battle. I understood that they wanted that, and so we tried to give them that. But we also wanted to do things like, do pigs in space for 2 or 3 weeks. And they were like, you can't do pigs in space for 2 or 3 weeks. Although they did give me a little bit of leeway with pigs in space because Miss Piggy was in it. They just wondered, well, where's Kermit? You know, um, they didn't understand the sensibility and the jokes of the Muppets, and that was always the battle. That was the battle for the 5.5 years that I did the strip. Uh, was me trying to really please both King Features and Jim. And well, I did the best I could. And it lasted for 5.5 years, and it was an absolute joy to do. Were the deadlines ridiculous? Yes. Oh my gosh, just the process to get a joke through. I would write the jokes, and then they had to be approved by everyone at King Features, plus Jim, Frank, Jerry, uh, and Michael. And that was before even doing it. And so uh, it got rough. And after about 2 years or so, Jim had me fly to Toronto, to Channel 9, where they were filming a Miss Piggy special. And Jim just turned over the strip saying that he understood the pressures that I was under and that I understood the characters more than just as well as anybody else. And that from now on, the comic was mine and I didn't need approvals from anyone. And I will get uh, emotional about that. What a guy. What a guy. What happened to the Tiny Ninos? Um, they had a great run. Um, we sold millions and millions of books, and A lot of toys. The problem with the dinos, we were supposed to be the biggest thing that there ever was, and we were well on the way. Jim had given me his blessings, and he loved the dinos. I got to show them to him and everything, and Jim loved them, and they were going to be, my own version of, you know, the Muppets. This was going to be my big thing. It had my name above it. And all of that. And anyway, I wrote the story originally for my kids because my kids asked, were there any dinosaurs alive today? So, but anyway, so it was a huge thing, and we had puppets built by my friends, Jim Henson's Puppet Builders. Made the Muppets, the puppets for the Tiny Dinos. And we had an incredible licensing show and toy fair. And we had tons and tons and tons of orders for the toys. But then the company, LJN, didn't fulfill the toy orders. They had some mistakes that they made in the manufacturing processes. And so when they didn't deliver on time, the television show that I was working on with Lee Mendelson and CBS went by the boards. And so it never became the giant, giant hit that we all intended it to be. But it was everything that I wanted. I I never really think about the money part of it. I always think about uh, the oh, you saw the Tiny Dinos at the toy fair, the Muppeteers, yeah. Gosh, yeah. Kevin Clash was one of them. Kevin, who became Elmo. Uh, Noel McNeil was one of them. We're still good friends to this day. Oh gosh. Um, but well, thank you, Crystal. Um, well, the Tiny Dinos, though, it did a lot. And, we had pajamas and all that kind of stuff. And I wrote 20 books, and we sold a lot. And I own all of those books. So, and all of the original artwork and all of that stuff. So if there's a publisher that wants to come out and republish the Dinos, I urge them to get in touch with me because I own all of it. And but we had a really good run, and um, I learned very very early on to that I couldn't make the public love anything or anything like that. Yeah, Jim Martin was a tiny dino. He was Steggy. Jim Martin, I love Jim Martin. Oh, you're bringing me back. Yep, 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 yep. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. I remember we went into a recording studio. I think it was over at Westwood One, and we made stories up that were like old radio shows about the dinos. Anyway, yeah, I loved doing the dinos. And as I was saying, when I work on anything. Certainly, I want it to sell and I want it to be a big deal and all of that. But um, even when I was working for Jim, only maybe one or two out of 20 things that we worked on was ever a big hit. There were a lot of projects that I worked on for Jim, like Little Muppet Monsters, for instance, that no one even really remembers anymore. And I worked just as hard on that as I worked on Fraggles or Muppet Babies. Um, the whole thing in being creative is that you're creative, and that whatever your message is your message. Um, my message uh, coincided very much with Jim's. Uh, I wanted the world to be a better place. I wanted for us to love each other. I didn't want there to be any differences that weren't celebrated. I didn't want those differences in all of us creatures, whether we're black, white, checkerboard or gonzo, to get in between us. I mean, God made us all, right? God made us all. And that's the message. Unconditional love. That's the message of everything I ever did. And so once you have the story and you have the characters, then you just do your absolute best with what comes next, and you you market, and market like crazy. That's one of the things I always tell people that say, "Oh, gee, I have this project and I can't get it going," or I hear from parents all the time, "Oh, my kid is so talented, they don't do anything with it." Well, I'm sorry, but if you don't market yourself, you'll go nowhere. And if you have to tell me that your child is incredibly gifted, but they don't do anything with it, then that's not part of their gift. Um, you know, you if I can tell you one thing, man, you gotta hustle every single day. You gotta work, 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 work. People that say, "Oh, you're a cartoonist. You love what you do. You must never have worked a day in your life." I'm sorry, but you're a total bozo. Do you really think that Jim or any of us get anywhere without working? But the point is, we love working. We know it's hard. We like that. It's really cool. And there's a message behind what I do. And it's very important for me to get that message out. I did it. Oh, hi, Guy. What's next? Um, well, um, you know that I did a book called Buddha Bear, or maybe you don't. Let me see here. Hang loose. I don't see a copy of it around here. Anyway, it's called Buddha Bear, and I just did that a few months ago, and it came out. And if you go to backpackbuddha.com, backpackbuddha.com, Buddha Bear is there, and it's a whole new universe of characters. So, Tucker, go there right now. By the way, every book that we sell, there are plush toys and all of that. For every product that we sell, we give school supplies to children in Nepal so that they can go to school. It's very, very important. Um, by the way, I give 10% of everything, at least 10%, to uh, charities, because that's, I don't know, that's what we do, right? Right? That's what we do. Um, I follow the book of James. Um, by the way, if you don't read the Bible and you don't have time or something, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't have time or it's too many pages for you or something, besides the Golden Rule, I would suggest you read the book of James. It's real short, and it's Jesus' brother, and he tells us how to live. And basically, it's to take care of one another and to love each other. And don't just pray for the widows and orphans, but do something for them. And so I try to do that. And and I try to be sure that everything that I do has a reason for being there. And I know that I get a lot of people that say that I'm corny and I'm old-fashioned and guilty, 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 guilty. Yep, 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 yep. I am. My values come through, and I think I share a lot of the same values that Jim did, and I think that that's why he hired me as a kid. He saw something in me, and I hope that I've at least done him proud with the good things that I've tried to do. Hey, Laura. It's Laura Bass, everybody. Laura Miller Bass. And Laura, thank you so much for being in Dallas and helping so much the other weekend. You're wonderful. Oh, thank you, Crystal, for posting that. Backpackbuddha.com. Um, let's see. Were there any other questions that I did not get to? Let's see. What's next, Guy, besides Buddha Bear? Um, I am co-writing a book about a dragon, and that should be out next year. I'm doing it with a friend of mine, Chris Scoggins, uh, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And in the meantime, um, I'm really, really enjoying the fact that, uh, oh, guyspops.com. Guyspops.com. Brand new, brand new, brand new. Oh, here's Keeper. Keeper. No. I know. You're going to have to wait a minute. Okay. I know. Well, we have the window open in the front room, and uh, Keeper's letting me know that I've been ignoring him and he needs to go outside. So I'm going to have to jump off of this. Don't forget the pops. I'm not forgetting the pops. And here's Keeper. Here's Keeper. And he. I am writing a book, Crystal. I started writing it a little while ago, and writing it with someone who is taking down the dictation as we do interviews. But I may kind of take the bull by the horns and write the thing myself. I'm kind of leaning that way because while I'm still around, I want you to know not only what it was like to work with Jim, but all of the other wonderful people that I've gotten to work with. All the characters from, all the characters of Looney Tunes gave me the opportunity to work with, Chuck Jones, Robert McKimson, Friz Freeling, just Bob Clampett. I want to tell stories about Mort Walker. Am I still doing Today's Dog? No. I have not been doing Today's Dog for many, 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 many years, but we put it up. It was something that I did for several years. We put a book out, and the money went to animal rescue and stuff, but I do post it on Facebook pretty much every day, try to get to it every day, but they're all reruns. There is a Best of Today's Dog book that you can find probably on Amazon or eBay or something like that if you really want one. It was a lot of fun to do. I did it for several years, probably about 5 years, and then I let it go. I do a lot of stuff like that. I work on it for a while, and then if it's not cost effective, then I let it go. Very, very important. Um, that, hey, thanks, Jason. Yeah, it wasn't cost effective. We were putting it out at a time that it couldn't get into newspapers because newspapers were kind of gone. And I was already doing Nancy, for the newspapers anyway. And I thought that I could write a funny panel about a dog, and I did. Hi, Kathy. Anyway, it was a lot of fun to do, but I did it for about 5 years and then let it go, and now it runs and reruns. It used to be on Go Comics. It's not there anymore because I'm not on Go Comics anymore. Although you can probably read my reruns of Nancy. Yes, yes, you can. And we'll keep putting up Nancy for a while as well. Um, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed Nancy, and it was a lot of fun. But I originally thought I was only going to do it for 2 years, and I wound up doing it for almost 23. So that's plenty of time, plenty of my life. But I work on projects all the time, and they have deadlines, and when books come out, they come out, and whether they sell or not, you're on to the next book, and if they did sell really well, then you were doing a sequel. Anyway, I appreciate everything and I hope I've gotten to most of your questions. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And please tell your friends that didn't tune in, but are friends with me on Facebook, to stop being lazy, that I'm not going to do these things on my personal Facebook, where we have thousands and thousands and thousands of people, but to please come to a Guy Gilchrist production. And that's where you'll see these things. Let me finish with Jim. I miss him every single day. I love him dearly. He meant the world to me. Everything that I have, I owe to my mother, Mort Walker, for discovering me, the wonderful, wonderful Walter Lance, who was my mentor starting when I was 10 years old, and Jim Henson. I feel him every once in a while, especially when I do good things and when I'm successful at making you laugh. Jim was a treasure, and he'd want you to know that we really love that you love what we do.